Hey everyone, my name is Mita Doshi, and I'm currently a mechanical engineering student at the University of Central Florida, and I've loved coding ever since high school. I even got the chance to intern at a tech company where I got to build cool tools using Python and MySQL. Now, one of the coolest things I've done is lead my high school robotics team as president. I got to build, code, and compete, which really sparked my love for engineering and technology as a whole. Now, today's lesson is for middle schoolers ages 11 to 14. I'll be teaching you about one of the most powerful tools in coding, loops in Python. Let's jump right into it. All right. So imagine that. Okay, so we're gonna be using an online editor called online-python.com. Very simple, very easy to use, no download. So if you want to follow along on your own laptop, go ahead. You can do that. All right, let's start. So let's do print. So imagine I wanted to print the same sentence 5 times. I could do this. Print I love coding. Print coding. Print. Now let's run it. But honestly, that's just so boring to write, and it's a huge. It's a huge waste of time if I have to write it, let's say 100 times. So let's use a for loop instead to repeat the code. So let's start writing it out. So for I in range 5, parentheses 5, colon, print. I love coding. Right, let's run it real quick and we'll see what happens. Of course, it's printed out 5 times, just like before. But how does it work? Let's break it down. So the first part for I in range. So this whole part right here just means this means the loop will run 5 times. Now I is a loop variable. It counts from 0 to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The code runs 5 times. You have it written out 5 times. Now to see this in action, you can even print out the loop number. So let's do print loop number. This will kind of prove that, that it is happening 5 times in the background. Let's do this. String. This one. Alright, let's run it. Alright, so here it says loop number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right? It kind of just tells you what it is, what loop number we're going back by this. This basically is explaining what is the loop happening here. Now let's do something a little bit cooler than that. Let's do a countdown, right? Let's do for I in range 10, 0, -1. Now you can have spacing here or you don't have to, it's not necessary. It depends what you want. And then colon, of course. Print I, and then make sure you indent correctly here. Print blast off. Now let's run it real quick and see what happens. Oh, perfect. So you have a countdown 10, 9, 8, etc., and then blast off. So what's happening here is that let's explain this part right here. The range of 10, 0, -1. The first number is where number I starts at. So I starts at 10. The next number is where I will stop before. So I starts at 10, but it stops before 0. The last number is going to be it's going to start going, it's going to basically means that I goes down by 1 every iteration of the code. So every time you have I, like right here, see I starts at 10, I starts at 10, the code runs, 10 minus 1, print I, and then you go back up here, then I becomes 9 because 10 minus 1 is 9, correct? Then you print I, 9, etc., etc., until 1, but your code ends after one is after it has to stop before zero, so you're never gonna get zero printed out. But you will have to essentially, it finishes a section of the code here, and it goes to print blast off, and it prints, of course, blast off. So that's just a little bit of a fun thing to do with the for loop if you want to do it. Now, so let's test it a little bit. Let's see what happens when I put print. Oh, 1 second. Print blast off here. See the code changes. So as you can see here, it actually prints every time the I goes down. And this is an important part of coding is indentation, right? So when you have good indentation, you don't run into problems like this. This could be one small part of your code, and you'll be looking through vast amounts of data, coding input right there, and it's a small little indentation issue that's causing problems and you have no idea. So just when you're writing code out, just be careful, just be careful you indent your code, and to avoid small things that aren't giving errors off but definitely look wrong to you, Alright, let's move on. Let's do a while loop. Let's interstructing a while loop. So let's do x equals 1. Now this will take a moment. Let me just copy and paste it to make it faster. Right, and I'll say it out loud. So you start with x equals 1. Then you have while x is less than or equal to 5 with a colon next to that. Next line is indented print. Print x is plus string x, string parentheses x. And the final line is x plus or equal to 1. Now here, what's happening is that, let's run the code. Alright, perfect. So x initializes with 1, you define the variable, x is 1. So a while loop, it runs as long as a condition is true. So while x is less than or equal to 5, that's the condition that has to be set for this loop to go on, right? The next line, print x is the string formatting of that number 1, right? So x is 1 in this case, print it correctly, x is 1. Next one, you have x plus or equal to 1. So of course you know what this is, it just reassigns the value of x to now be 2, because you add 1 plus 1 is 2. Go back on top, x is now 2. But your while loop is still going on, so x is 2, which is still less than or equal to 5. And this code runs until, guess what, x is now 5, but wait. So it runs the last time, and it runs all the way throughout. You add the plus 1, and you get x equals 6. But the condition is no longer true, therefore nothing else happens. The code reinitializes x equals 6, but it doesn't print it out because it doesn't, it's not true anymore. The condition is no longer accurate in that statement. Alright, that's everything. So basically the key difference is that a for loop will repeat a set number of times, for I in range, I is equal to 4, while a while loop really keeps going until a condition is no longer true. Alright, that's everything. So today you learned about for loops and while loops, how to repeat code, make countdowns, and write smarter programs. Well, in reality, loops are everywhere in real code, from games to apps to websites. Thank you so much for learning with me. I had a blast.